If you guys are familiar with Henry from Socal Auto Detail Center, or might not be, go ahead and stay tuned. Watch this video till the end and look at Henry transform this beautiful Porsche. So you guys are in for a treat. All right. Watch the light. Okay. You see all those micro scratches? Those are swirl marks. This is a 1975 Porsche. And this is all over the vehicle. So one thing that Henry does is that he uses lights, whether he's outside, inside, to see the swirl marks, okay? This is imperative for your eye to be able to see what you're doing. Without the light, you're going to be polishing blind, and you won't see any progress. Now that some masking is done, let's get everything set up and get ready. So for this car, Henry's going to use the Rupes LHR 21 Bigfoot, along with a one-step polish pad from Lake Country. He is using the OSP pad to see how much he can take off with a minimal amount of time. Okay, this is what's going to determine, what he's going to use, whether he's going to use a foam pad or a microfiber pad. Okay, once he's done with this, then he'll continue with the rest of the vehicle. There are different methods for different people, but what you see Henry doing here is polishing and constantly looking at where he's at. What he's looking at is the clarity. He's also looking at where the light comes on to the clear coat and shows him whether or not the scratches were removed. So at this point, Henry was happy with the results. What he's going to go do now is get a microfiber towel to go ahead and wipe off the excess compound and look at his work just a little closer. So now, after Henry wipes away the residue, he's going to look at it, and you're going to see him lean into the picture, and that's him again using the angles, watching the lights to see if he minimized or reduced the amount of scratches that were on the panel, which he did. Woo! So finally, okay, now that Henry determined that that's the plan of action that we're going to use is the OSP pad to go ahead and go all over the car with the Jess Car medium finish, we're going to go ahead and tackle the car together, okay? A lot of people work in teams. There's people that work separately, but for this project, Henry brought me along, and that's why I'm able to narrate step by step. And what Henry wants to tell all the detailers or all the do-it-yourselfer guys is that test spots are important because you never know what type of paint the car has. Cars may have multi-layer paint, single stage paint, or in this case for old Porsches, a soft clear coat type of paint. That means that it's easily scratched or easily reduced, so we have to be careful in what steps we maintain while we're polishing and cutting the car. Another thing that Henry said is having the proper tools will make your job a lot easier. As you see, he's using the LHR 75E Mini to tackle the curves around this fender, as well as the bumper. So work smarter, not harder, guys. So now that Henry has moved on to the complete fender, he's going to use the same technique. And if you notice, every time the machine comes off the fender, he brushes it off. Brushing the fibers upright on the microfiber pad and adding new compound will give you a clean slate every time you put it back on the vehicle. If your fibers look smashed after polishing, that is exactly why we use this technique. Ergonomics, when coming to this job, is something that is extremely important to Henry. You have to make sure that you're in a position to be comfortable, move, and actually use the light to go ahead and do any of the cutting that you're doing on any vehicle. Part of ergonomics for a detailer is also having a great stool to use. And for all those tech savvy people, using your phone's camera can also show you things that your eye can't see right at that moment. The technology in our phones is amazing. So if you have a smartphone, go ahead and use that. See angles that you wouldn't normally be able to see. Zoom in, okay? That's always going to help you find little spots. So if you've been paying attention to the lights, you notice that Henry just placed a light source at the bottom while he has the two bulb lights on the top. Again, covering as much area so that you could illuminate as much as possible. Moving on to the curvaceous rear fenders of this beautiful Porsche Carrera, you're also going to notice some vents up by the whale tail. We're going to use the Hybrid Nano to get those dialed in. Wait till the end so that you can see how this turned out. Now that the whole car has been cut, Henry is doing a final wipe down with Geon Prep just to make sure that he removes any residue off of the rubbers, off of the vehicle's panels, so that we can go ahead and inspect it once everything is said and done. After 10 plus years of being a detailer, Henry makes sure that he goes over every car with a fine-tooth comb. You do not get to be called a detailer if you don't pay attention to the details. Now, as you can see with this caliber of vehicle, you need to make sure that you go through every step, through every nook and cranny, every rubber, every weather stripping, and make sure everything's dialed up. And while you can see the dual tone lamp that Henry has right there, along with the LED light all the way up in the front, and the fluorescent lighting that the garage has, there's no substitute for taking that beautiful car out into the sun and letting natural light hit every panel. That is the best way that you can completely inspect the vehicle once you've gone through the cutting part. So now the wait is over, and this is the pièce de résistance. This beautiful maritime blue 1975 $200,000 plus Porsche Carrera has now been one step corrected by the coveted Henry Diaz from Socal Auto Detail Center. And now let's get that thing to sunbathe and explore all the beauties on every panel made perfect by Henry. Are you guys ready for this? One last message from Henry. Make sure that when you guys are staring, you wipe the drool off. Enjoy!